Cash. It's your host, Cash Money Morgan. So excited for tonight's podcast. But before I get into my guest, I just want to say a couple things. Thank you to everyone who reached out to me after episode 7. Literally, you guys are amazing. I just want to have a birthday party and invite everyone who listens to the podcast to my birthday party. So that's what I want to do next year. I'm just kidding. But anyways, so like I said in the last pod, I do have merchandise coming soon, so you're going to want to follow Instagram, LinkedIn, anywhere I have, you're going to want to follow it because when it drops, it's very limited quantity and it's only going to have a few available. So definitely check that out. But let's get right into it. So my guest tonight is the one and the only Kyle Gardner.
Oh man, you said you had the sound effects. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I feel like I'm on Jimmy Fallon or something with that.
What's up? Yeah, I mean, we something slight.
It's pretty cool.
Thank you. So, Kyle is someone that we both went to Evangel, we both went to college together, but literally never met. I actually just slid in his Facebook message the other day. He's probably like, who the heck is this chick?
No, but I knew of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, what'd you hear?
Bad things.
Yeah, he's like, she sucks at ping pong. I'm just kidding. I had heard of Kyle too, and so Kyle's got, for sure, at least what I've heard, a very interesting story. So it's very exciting to have you on the pod. So thank you for coming.
Oh, I'm pumped.
So one of the biggest things that I had heard of you was back in college. They were like, "Oh, this guy has a dorm room just filled with boxes of shoes."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Was that your dorm or was that a separate room?
That was my dorm. It got to the point where it was so bad, I was sleeping on the floor because on the bunks I had shoes and I was just sleeping on the floor during peak coding season,
right?
Which is where Adidas has these codes for 50% off. And they give them to the employees. Well, the employees don't want them, so they sell them. And so I had a guy who bought codes from a bunch of employees, and he'd sell them all to me. And they got to the point where I was doing codes for a few years, and
to
then
me,
they started.
How do you mean a guy who just does? I just do Adidas codes.
I had a big sneaker selling page,
so
you get
gotcha,
DM stuff like that. Yeah, and he was like, dude, I got 500 codes, and I didn't need all 500, but he's like, I'll give you a steal, 150, 200 a code. And at the beginning, you could buy codes for $100, and they didn't have a limit. So you could buy 20 grand worth of shoes on an order at 50% off, pay 10,000, then sell them. But it got to the point where Adidas was like, dude, these codes are being abused, so they limited them at 2,000.
Wow.
So you just buy a bunch of codes, and then you'd get all these shoes for half off. You couldn't sell them for half off because they were shoes that were just sitting on the site. You couldn't sell them for full price,
Right.
So if a shoe was 100, you could pay 50 for it, plus shipping tax, bring it to give or take about 115, 120. Then you could sell them for 170 after fees, 160, clear a little bit of money.
My brain is swung.
Yeah, sorry about all those prices, but
no,
point
it's good.
is you
hashtag marketing.
Even after fees, you could still clear a decent chunk of money, but it depends on the shoes. If you're going to do it in bulk, like my peak, what you're probably referring to, what you heard about on campus, it's 2,000 pairs a month, but codes are only around for a couple months a year, so it'd be okay. The margin really goes down because you have to push shoes real quick. I had a couple storage units as well that we'd sell them out of. But
dang, so did you end up selling all those shoes?
Yeah, except for maybe 50 of them I still have that just turned into nothing pretty much.
Dang.
I've been giving them away.
That's awesome.
I gave a pair to Yaya and Raina and all them. I know you know them.
Yeah,
they watch,
love them.
A few people Brantley, my old roommate, I gave him 10 pairs. I've just been giving them away because I have no use for them.
Oh, rock on. Okay, Kyle. So that's definitely how I've heard of Kyle. But let's just kind of get into who you are and just your bio, where'd you grow up, what's your current job title, stuff like that. What's your zodiac sign?
I don't even know zodiac, but I grew up in Michigan. Well, I was born in Florida, moved after a few months, lived a bunch of places, New York. My mom's side of the family's there. We moved for her to be by her family because my parents met in Florida, but they wanted to be around family and stuff because they were still figuring life out, whatever. And then we moved by to New York to be by my mom's family, but they're New Yorkians, so they're nuts.
Yeah.
And then my dad was like, no, we gotta be by my family. So they moved to Michigan.
Dang.
And I lived most of my life in Michigan, lived in good parts, bad parts, lived in it all, lived in like probably 20, 30 different cities in Michigan throughout my life. And real fun, great area. Oakland County, fantastic, best place you can live. But now I'm in Springfield. And
so
I should have wrote that down.
How do you just end up in Springfield? I mean, I know that like I'm in Springfield, but
so a few things, right? I never wanted to go to college. Since I was like probably 8, I said I'd rather be dead than work for somebody. I just knew that almost out of the womb, and I still live by that. I couldn't work for somebody. Don't know why. I just came out of the womb like that.
Right.
And then so I was never going to go to college. I thought high school was stupid. I knew college was going to be stupid, and it did not surprise me. Even though I loved the place, I just didn't learn anything. But the point, getting off that, I don't want to do sponsorships, but the point is...
Not currently sponsored by...
But about Fiji water.
Yeah, product placement,
Staples
baby.
And whatever.
Packers.
Whatever that is, Z-Grip.
Yeah.
But my dad was like, dude, you got to go to college because the business stuff isn't going to work out. I was always dumb. One of my big claim to fame is I rode the short bus for 2 years when I was young. Like, was always in the bottom 10% of my class, like all that stuff. And I feel like that's one of the things, we'll probably get into this, but I always felt like I had to prove something, especially growing up. Which is why in business I was always like, I was short. I was a lot of things that weren't considered to be cool. And I thought I had to prove something. So that's where shoes came in. And I could make a lot of money selling shoes.
So that was the first hustle in your life? Like the first
cutting lawns and stuff. When I was like 12, I had like 10 to 12 lawns I'd cut every week at like $40. So I was making okay money when I was young. Then we'd go to Mr. Allen's on a Friday night, which was downtown Royal Oak, and we'd camp out for shoes. Me and a couple of my buddies, we'd pay retail, which was $170 at the time, get like $300. So we'd camp out for that. We'd do that with the lawn cutting money. And then a couple of my buddies had different side hustles. Some of them came from families that had money, but we'd camp out for the shoes. And that's how I built a really cool sneaker collection, as well as, depending on the line, we could actually loop around and get 2 pairs. So we could walk out and make some money, especially for our age. Then we'd just go make more money. And we didn't have any bills. So really
what age are you at right now in this situation?
12, 13. 12, I started camping out probably.
Dang, I'm out here watching like Disney Channel and Kyle was like, racks on racks. Like.
Yeah, no, I was still doing that stuff too, for sure. Well, maybe not like 12, but I was always trying to flip something. Then, big thing is all my buddies that had a little more money than me, their parents would buy their shoes. Get this. They'd have like a pair of shoes that was worth like $200. I could give them like $100 for them. And so I started selling their shoes. And this was before like GOAT and StockX. So you'd have to go on eBay and sell them, which was a whole nightmare. Early days of eBay. If anyone, I doubt your audience knows, but it was a pain. It was a pain to sell on eBay. And they didn't have PayPal.
12 years old selling on eBay.
Yeah.
And your parents were like, that's okay, it's fine. Do whatever you want.
My mom was super cool with it because my mom was broke.
Oh.
So my mom
was she like, give me a percentage of that?
I'd help her with a couple things, but she didn't have too much money. And, 20, like 12, 13 she did. It was like 14 where things got a little rougher on her financial scale because my stepdad died and he was bringing in money. But a whole lot of crazy stuff. We got a lot going on here. This is why I said I need this paper so we don't get off track.
Show him the paper. This is he has a white piece of paper here, and those are
so
just
I
for
don't
his
go too
thoughts.
off track. But anyways, we were saying something about the shoes.
Yeah. So
again,
you were talking about the line in the shoes. So
Yeah.
not to off track, but I also have. I don't know if you have ADHD, but I for sure do.
I've never been tested, but
me too. Me too. I took like an online test, and it was like 11 out of 10.
I'm in
like
Pluto, like.
Okay, let's on the same page.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to shoes, what would you say was like the greatest pair you ever got, or like the Hail Mary of shoes? Is there a certain?
Here's the thing with Mr. Allen's. In the early days, there were pairs like Thunder 4s, where I remember looping around and getting 3 or 4 pairs of Thunder 4s, and those were like, I don't know, 300. Retail was 170, so those were good, but Mr. Allen's didn't get insane releases, and this was before the crazy Jordan stage. So shoes weren't worth $2,000. This was before a lot of like other money came in.
Gotcha.
So I would say the biggest wins were shoes that we could loop around and just get multiple pairs. Most pairs sat between $250 to $300, most around $300, I'd say. But there's fees that come out. But all we had to do was sit outside for like 8 hours, and we could clear like $100. So but it was me and my buddies.
Yeah.
Like that's easy. Like think about you and your friends.
Right.
Just go out there and do whatever you want. Like easiest thing. And there was a Panera. There was a Tim Hortons.
Bro,
so
you're
we'd go
set
get
for life.
We'd go get hot chocolate. I got some crazy memories. One night I dragged my dad out there because I was like, there were these pigeon dunks. This was like when I was like 16, and I needed money because I was spending money like I was in Congress or something. I was spending money like crazy. Like I had unlimited, but I didn't.
It's like me right now. I'm just kidding.
And they were going for like 600. Retail was 110. And I knew I was only going to be able to get one pair. So I was like, Dad, I'll buy the pair. I'll give you half the money, whatever. And he was like, all right. And it was like negative outside. And we were out there for like 10 hours.
Oh my gosh.
And the coolest thing he ever did for me, I think, I had to buy the pair, but he didn't take any money.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I made like $1,000 for like 10 hours sitting outside. That was one of the better
That's
ones.
pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was cool of him too. Thank you, Dad.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously you started with shoes. So kind of
Mostly, yeah.
Where did you go from there?
A few things. I was lucky to be in the earlier stages of certain things like drop shipping. So I have a webinar. Can I plug it?
Yeah. So before you plug it, so right now we're recording in one of Kyle's offices type thing?
This isn't my specific office, but this is like a room you get to rent if you're in the tower.
Yeah. And so Kyle has this whole business thing, which we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But so I guess go on.
Well, I was just gonna say that I don't even have to give them the link or anything, but I got this. Well, they won't be able to watch it if I don't.
There you go.
If I can, rockwellprwebinar.com. It gives you a little bit of my old story, a bunch of pictures, a lot of things I started with, screenshots from businesses, all stories, me pulling a wagon full of like 100 t-shirts in like 100-degree weather, selling t-shirts door to door, crazy stuff. But goes over like some screenshots of what those businesses made and stuff like that. Just a little backstory to the introduction of the webinar, why you should buy what I'm selling. Anyways.
Yeah.
And the next thing was Clouser came around 2012 as well, but I had two clothing businesses. K&A was the first and K&A was the second. And K&A was Kyle and Austin, but Austin wasn't doing anything, didn't contribute any money, but he knew more about like fashion than I did, and he was selling t-shirts before me. And he made like a couple thousand like real quick, and I was like, oh shoot, I could do that. Then he didn't want me to do it because we had a lot of the same friends and knew the same people. So because he thought I'd do it better than him. So he was like, dude, let's partner up. So I was like, good idea. Two of us versus one. Like, he'll contribute, didn't contribute. Anyways, so I spent like a lot of my shoe money, spent a couple thousand, like maybe $5,000, which was all the cash I had.
So what age are you in this story right now?
Like 2012, around like 12. But we didn't sell squat. We sold like a quarter of the shirts, didn't get our money back. Then we re-rolled, tried it again, did about the same. We didn't know anything about marketing, sales, anything like that. So
when you're 12.
Well, at this point, when we retried it, I was like probably 14 and a half, 15, maybe.
Okay.
And then I was like, dude, Austin's not doing squat. So I came out with this rebrand called Clouser. And that's where you can really we do a little bit of a detailed analysis in the webinar. But I bought all these shirts again, spent a lot of money. I had like 500-600 shirts. I don't even know. In the webinar, we go over screenshots of me buying stuff and whatever. And bought a ton of shirts. And my mom, we lived in this little, we show a picture of the house too. It's like twice the size of this room where we lived. And just this tiny place, and we didn't have room to have inventory sitting all over. So I couldn't sell any of it. And my mom's like, dude, like, you got to get rid of this. We got shirts stacked up in the kitchen. Like, I can't move in my apartment.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I'll get rid of it. And my mom, born in the Bronx, raised in Brooklyn, woman does not play around. Okay, like, she would have started throwing stuff if I didn't get rid of this quick. So I'm like, all right, I gotta get rid of it. And I started going door to door, selling these T-shirts, just to the neighbors and stuff. And, I rode bikes with their kids and stuff. So I was like, oh, they'll buy. And they did. So I was paying $6 to $7 per shirt, depending on if there was if it was just printed on the front or the front and the back. So $6 to $7, and I was selling them for 20 cash, which 20 cash is more than 20 cash. Like, 20 cash is really like selling something online for probably like 28. So that, you got good margins, right? So I was like, okay, I sold like 10 of them just going door to door. Maybe I'll keep going. And there's a lot of, if you've ever gone door to door, like the anxiety of going door to door, like just banging on, hey, buy my stuff. People yell at you, a whole lot of things. But I was like, hey.
As a woman, I'm like, I'm getting snatched. Like, that's what, so like, I get like your fear, but also I'm thinking like, oh, come on inside. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh, it would have been worse for sure. I had it better than most women would have had it. But I'll give credit where credit is due.
No, keep going. I just, that made me laugh. So
no, it's true. But I was selling all these shirts, just going door to door, and sure enough, I kept going. More people bought, and all of a sudden, I had like half my shirts gone, and I had a wad of cash.
So what was your pitch at like 14?
Buy my shirts.
Yeah.
That was pretty much my pitch at the beginning. Now I went through a few phases, like, oh, like after you feel this, like, because I had them in a wrap where you took a heat press.
Yeah.
There was a better way of doing this, but this was the sketchy way. I took my mom's hair thing.
No, straightener.
The straightener, and you could buy them on eBay for like, if you bought like 1,000 of them, it was like 2 cents each or something. And then you put a size sticker on it, so S, M, L, whatever. And the reason why I did that wasn't because, part of it was because once I pulled out the wagon, my grandpa used to pull me in as a kid, and I stacked up all these clothes. I got all this in the webinar, but once I started going door to door, pulling the wagon with a lot of inventory, what happened was is that shirts would fall out, they'd get all dirty, stuff like that. So because I'd walk on the side of the road in the gravel, so they'd fall out and they'd be all dusty. So that was to prevent that. But then also, I was like, do you know a good roofer? And they'd be like, why? Why is this at the time 16-year-old walking, like, do you know a good roofer? I'd be like, because once you feel this fabric, you're going to go through the roof.
Oh my gosh.
And stuff like that. But I was like this 16-ish year old kid.
Just gave me the egg,
But here's the thing, though. Some 16-year-old kid walking up, like most people would just chuckle, and then they'd be like, how much?
Yeah.
And a lot of people would do it. But then, and this was just so I could have a cool car, because like girls and stuff, but here's the thing. Oakland County, Michigan, a lot of really rich people started moving in. So like the girls and stuff, they didn't want to, like, they'd only talk to guys who had like a certain lifestyle and stuff, and I just didn't have that.
Yeah.
So in order for me to like compete in the slightest, like it's sad, but like to have cool friends, to have any of that stuff, they were all wearing Gucci, stuff like that. I was wearing like some Old Navy, like $8 off the rack t-shirt. It was like, I wasn't like whatever. And that was where the shoes kind of made me a little bit cooler too. But the point is that we're getting somewhere here.
Yeah.
Is that the money from this allowed me to get a brand new Camaro, which was pretty cool. So, and I was about 17.
There you go.
And
did you get the girls too then?
I did a little better.
There you go.
A little bit better. It was about as good as I could get.
All right.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. So, but that was the whole thing of like, dementia's kicking in, runs in the family. What was that?
We were doing the shirts.
Oh yeah.
The pitches.
I didn't have too good of a pitch. This was before I started buying the sales training and stuff. Cardone University, straight line persuasion, all that stuff. I was before I went through any of that stuff. So I didn't have too good of a pitch, but I think a lot of people's sympathy bought. It was 100 degrees in the summer. I was out there just trying to make a couple bucks. But then once I got the car, I'd load the car up, right? And I'd go to the nice neighborhoods.
Right.
Houses that were like at least maybe 600, 700, 800, but some of them were way more than that. But before they became gated, because gated houses start at like 1 to 1.2, but then I try to follow cars in because the gate stays open for a little. But anyways, they would sometimes only have like $100 bill. They'd be like, all right, I'll take 5 of them. And there were hours where I was clearing a couple $100 an hour.
Wow.
In the summer at like At that point, I was 16.
So it's just so unheard of to me. Because, I mean, I don't even know. Like, for me as a kid, you know, there were little things I would do, you know. I was like, oh, let me just, like, sell my old Halloween candy. Or, like, you know, like, let me just get rid of my clothes. Like, I was never thinking, ooh, what could I make? Like, what could I, you know, create? So why do you think you are this way, you know, that just as 12 years old, you're sitting in line for 8 hours when you could be at home playing video games, you know? Like,
my mom was broke, number one. She was working a couple jobs. I remember we lived at Eagle Pond. That it was like where all the sex offenders live. Because, not to get you taken down here, but like the government, there are certain places where sex offenders can live. It's kind of like there's like lines. Yeah. And that's where rents are cheaper too. Because who wants their family to live next to a sex offender? So that's all my mom could afford. And like the windows were so old and stuff. I remember like Michigan winter, like it'd be like -20 with wind chill. Right. And you could feel the wind coming through. And it was just like a kind of sucky life. And things got better from there, but I still always remembered that. So that was one. And then two, once we moved more in the heart of Oakland County, a little bit nicer. We lived in a condo, so we were like the poor end of Oakland County, to say the least. But I didn't fit in. Like all the kids came from like married families, real smart, all that stuff. Their parents would buy them like $2,000 Gucci hoodies. I didn't have any of that, so I didn't fit in as much. That was when I was like 14 when I really started feeling really trying to like. Part of it was fitting in for sure, right? Just because like. People wouldn't talk to you unless you had certain things. And once I started getting those things, I became much cooler. And then it's kind of like a dopamine thing. Right. You get what I'm saying?
100%.
Like, dude, I need 100%. To be doing this. So, and everybody likes to be liked and all that. Exactly. So that was one of the things for sure, which I don't regret at all. But and there were a lot of other people. I know you said it sounds unheard of. Really wasn't unheard of. Like everybody had something. Especially
maybe like in your friend group.
Well, not even my friend group.
I don't know.
A lot in that area.
Okay.
Because parents had businesses. A lot of the people that lived there, their parents owned something. Yeah. And they were successful, so.
Because I just feel like it is a lot more common where people start really doing their own thing, like in high school, like almost, you know, you're graduating. I just never hear of like a 12-year-old hustling like that, you know?
I mean, it was way more common, I'd say. So I probably sound like I'm like, whatever, but wasn't.
It's probably an area thing too.
That's
you know,
what I'm saying.
Like Michigan.
It wasn't as stood. Well, it's not even just Michigan; it's city. I feel like. Yeah. And city where there's some money too, but also I think I was a little more driven potentially because part of it was just like I didn't want to live. Right. Off like in some jank apartment.
Right. Well, that's everything in life. Like, you know, I've had jobs in the past where I'm like, okay, I'm working this job and I will make more money because I never ever want to have to work a job like this ever again, you know? And so stuff like that, like you go through things sometimes when you're like, yeah, I'm going through this and I absolutely never want to do this ever again.
For sure. Some people go through it worse. Like I didn't have it even close to as bad as some people do, especially when you think about other countries and stuff, people living in 100%. Mud huts and stuff. So like I can only imagine then. Yeah. But
so let's talk about your role now. So how did you get to, you know, opening your own company and like the Culver's thing, every just kind of go into that.
Clouser started picking up, and it did 6 figures when I was 17, and I got all that stuff on the webinar. If you want to go see it, rockwellprwebinar.com. But it started picking up because I would pay people to do the designs because I'm not a fashion dude. I'm just not. And it got to the point where I could scale it better. A lot of people were wearing the clothes, and we started doing more limited releases to where it would sell out more. So it started doing okay. I made some money on it, and wasted a lot of that money. Again, competing with people that I just shouldn't have been trying to compete with, but like buying all those, like buying a Gucci hoodie or something like that, you know, is $2,600 from the store, and then you literally take the tag off and it's $1,800, and then you wash it one time and it's like $800, and then you end up selling it on Grilled for $400. And just I wasted a lot of money. Like that's why I say you shouldn't own a Gucci hoodie new unless you're worth at least $1 million, or unless you're like, I can easily take this loss. Yeah. Because it's just stupid. Now, I'm not saying don't own it, but know what you're buying. Yeah. But there were other things that held some value, like the shoes. And then I just always kept flipping those. But Where I went from there, a couple things. At different points I started borrowing money, just from other people that saw what I was doing. And they were like, I want to get in on this, but I don't know how, or I don't want to do the work. So I'd say, all right, like, give me however much you have, I'll go do it, and then I'll take like a fee. So even with like some of the shoes in the room, Adidas codes, I always used my own money for that. But like, I don't know if you ever heard about like 150 pairs of like smoke gray ones, all that stuff. All those are sneaker holds, and that's not all my money. Probably about half of that's my money. So I still to this day have like storage units full of shoes. Those are investments. But that I've made some money by doing holds, but not all that's is my own money. So in that situation, and I'm about done with this because people, they sign this whole thing that's like, we sell when I'm ready to sell all this, but then people will be like, after 3 months, oh, can I get my money back? Like, I need my money. I'm like, dude, I can't just sell the whole freaking whatever. But so what I do is I'd say, okay, we're gonna, typically it depends on the fee went up, but it was 1% I'd get on the buy. So if you gave me $100,000, no one ever did that, but just easy numbers.
Right.
I'd get $1,000. And then there's a management fee, typically about 2% per year. So if we hold for 1 year, I get $2,000. And then there's a 1% fee on the sell. So if we sell for $150,000 and we paid $100,000, I get a $1,500 fee. So I get $1,000 on the buy, $2,000 on the hold, so $3,000, and then $1,500 on the sell, so $4,500 without doing anything of my own money. Now I never had one person give me $100,000,
right?
Just easy numbers to work with.
Yeah.
And then that fee went up to 2% on the buy, 2% on the sell, and then 1% a year to manage. And if I ever did again, the fee would be going up more.
Right.
And there's expenses because like you got to pay for the storage.
So what age are you when doing this right now? Like,
I started that maybe like 18, 19, because when I first came to college, I had blown through quite a bit of money, and I still had some money, but I didn't have money coming in as much. So I was like, I got to do something. But I still had I knew a lot of people that had money that trusted me. So I used their money to make some money. And then I did a few other things. I owned, at like 17, I owned a site, Luxury Jeweler Co., whole thing, pretty much drop shipped necklaces, bought them off AliExpress, 925 silver, just very cheap silver. 925 silver, was paying like $1, selling them for $50. Now you'd have ads in there and stuff,
but you'd not still AliExpress, bro.
AliExpress, but well, it's real 925 silver. Most people just you go to Kohl's and buy a 925 silver chain, and they're selling it for $200. They paid $2 for it. Jewelry and furniture, some of the most marked up items. Like if you walk into a furniture store, I'm telling you this right now, you'll pay $1,000 for something. Cost them $30 to make it, like less than. So that's the thing, like those are just way
there's like me needing to buy a couch, like listening to you, like exactly. Oh my gosh.
Like, no, really though, like furniture, jewelry, those are certain things. Like you won't meet a poor jeweler ever, and you definitely, someone who owns a furniture store is rolling in it. But I mean, it's not like they're selling 100 couches a day either.
Right,
so it's kind of that low volume, high margin, but still.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I had a couple things like that. Worked out okay. Made a few bucks doing that stuff once in a blue moon. And that kind of moved me into more like sort of VC, venture capital stuff, using other people's money. Because I have a pretty good track record as far as like most people that invest will invest again, stuff like that. So over time, you just kind of build all that stuff up, which is pretty cool. But a few different holds and whatnot, shoes and stuff, which is kind of what brought me into fast food a little bit. And I was sort of telling you a little bit before this started, like restaurants and stuff, people think of them as this crazy flashy thing. Like it sounds like a lot. It costs like $4.5 million to put them up, whatever. But at the end of the day, there's a fat loan on that. You're putting 10 to 20% down on that loan. It looks flashy, but it doesn't make as much money as you'd think. That's more of a like long-term play, and almost none of my own money.
So Kyle's speaking right now from this because you just opened a Culver's.
Yeah.
In Nixa, am I right? Ozark.
Yeah.
My bad.
Don't go yet. It's a little bit of a wreck. It's gonna be a little bit of a wreck for like about another 2 weeks. Because there's a national labor shortage.
Oh,
so you can't hire people. I mean, like McDonald's was doing a $600 sign-on bonus.
Right. Like McDonald's, people can't like find what?
People. So that's the thing, exactly. Like, because you got to hire about 95 people in about a month, and we just couldn't quite get to those numbers, and we hired people who shouldn't have hired. So you got to kind of trim those people out, and then just a nightmare and a half. But the goal of fast food is not to be in there. The goal is to throw money at it, and there's 4 ways of making money in real estate: asset appreciation, principal pay down, tax benefits, and cash flow. So if someone buys multifamily, which is like fancy word for apartments, right? Those are the 4 ways of making money. But cash flow sucks, right? You don't make much on the cash flow. You're making money on asset appreciation, meaning if you pay $5 million, in 10 years it's worth $8 million. That's asset appreciation. So you made $3 million. Principal pay down is you've got, like, let's say a 30-year loan. You're paying that loan off. Every month you pay the bank on a mortgage, right? Cash flow is just, let's say, all your expenses are 10 grand, but 11's coming in. You've got 1,000 in cash flow. And then tax benefits, just, right, that makes sense. But real estate essentially has all those, but the cash flow is way higher because there's a business attached to it. So the big thing with fast food, in my opinion, is there's a lot of cash. There's a decent cash flow. Like, a bad store is probably making 250 grand a year. A good store is making maybe 1 to 1.2 million. But it's very uncommon for someone to own that entire store themselves. You may have someone that owns 5%, 10%, whatever. So you're getting a little bit of it.
Yeah.
And also you got to front a lot of money.
So you own this whole store yourself?
No,
is that what you're saying?
No.
He's
So
like,
that's the thing. No. So now later on, but the thing is that there's an option. So I'm in 2 to 4 years I will, because essentially it's a cash out refinance method. So what happens is that you take people's money, then the asset goes up, you cash that out, you refinance, you pay the bank back what they need, then you do it all back in your name. So that's like, I know a guy who owns about 160 Taco Bell, stuff like that. I learned that from him. That's another cool thing, is I just met people along the way who own stuff. And then also, it's just a whole thing. But the point, it looks flashy, but it's not as cool as it sounds. And it doesn't make as much money as it sounds. It's just something that, like, that building will outlive me, my kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids. That building will be staying there long after I'm in the ground.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, it's really impressive that you're literally 21 and you've like helped open this Culver. But so why Culver's? You know, like out of all the chains.
Well, there's a few reasons.
I'm from Green Bay, so and then Culver's is the only place that's got cheese curds in Missouri here.
Right.
So
there's a few reasons. One of them is, as far as businesses growing, really good. 2, like if you open a McDonald's or a Taco Bell, there's so many of them at this point. You're competing with billionaires. All the good territories are taken. So, for example, Culver's, the place that I plan on going next, because we've got 2 more coming within the next about year and a half. We got 1 under contract, a pre-existing one. Number 1 we built. Number 2 is in contract. Number 3 we're working out right now. So the whole thing with that is, as far as building new, the territory we plan on heading to, there's a ton of space. Put 30 of them up. But that's why it was always important for me, like, to be around the right people and the people that have money. Like my ex-girlfriend's dad, he's putting 100 grand into the 3rd one.
Wow.
So
he really massaged that ex relationship. I feel like. I mean, how is that?
Well, he's got money, and he was the one who really taught me partially about multifamily, which was apartments, because he came from nothing. And he built up this very impressive portfolio. He worked for Oracle, like a business software company, and he made good money. And he took all that money and he bought multifamily apartments. So he was paying like $2 million for stuff that he's sold now for like $10 million. Like crazy deals he's done. But he bought in Oakland County, Michigan, which for a long time was one of the fastest growing counties in the country. So that sort of taught me bought and growing areas. So like Ozark, I picked the lot. I picked Culver's. I picked all that stuff. The reason why is because you look at like fastest growing place in Missouri. Yeah. Ozark. Yeah. Ozark next to those places. So that's a thing of, it's very easy to make money in a growing area. Right? So like I was at this Grant Cardone real estate summit, $25,000. I'll tell you the one thing I learned. He said something that I wrote down that I'll have dementia and I'll still remember this. He said, the best deals, or the deals I made the most amount of money on are deals I overpaid for. Not some steal. The steals, he never made that much money. Because if it's in a fantastic area, he's bought like $30 million properties. Miami's gone up 40% the real estate market in the past year and a half.
Yeah.
So that $30 million deal went up 40%. Now, if you buy some torn down thing, someone might be like, oh, well, it's 20% undervalued, right? Well, but you got to put money into it, fixing it and all that stuff. And here's the thing. All those deals are in non-growing areas. So if you ever want to buy a house or whatever, same as there's like that rule of like buy the worst house in the nice neighborhood, if you've ever heard of that. So it's that sort of principle of buy the location. Who cares about the house, like you, or the building or the whatever? Like you need to buy. Like we overpaid $1 million to put that up, the Culver'S up, and the reason why is because we got the best lot in Ozark, we believe, by a mile. We have a 60-foot pylon sign. No one else can put a pylon sign on any of those 3 exits. We got the last pylon sign. Cost $250,000 to put the sign up. The lot was a couple $100,000 more than where the big O tire went. That's $500,000 right there. Had to dig up another $100,000 from underneath because there was all this old stuff buried under the lot. Then also had to spend about $100,000 to put up retaining wall.
So my next question then is, you're saying all these numbers, all this money. Where do you get like just all this from the bank? Like, so financial support wise.
Yeah.
What do you do? How did
Yeah. So pretty much that's the thing with the franchise. Okay. Opening a business doesn't make sense most of the time. And the reason why is because half of businesses fail in the first year. About 90 to 95%, depending on the statistic, fail within 10 years. When you're buying a franchise, you're buying a model. You're buying something that's proven. There's 806, I think we're 862. So there's like 865 locations. Okay. If you ask me to put a burger together on a grill, I don't know where to start, okay? But you buy the recipes, you buy the model, you buy the name. So the chance of that store failing, there's been 3 stores out of 865-ish that have failed.
Wow.
Exactly. And 2 of them were right when it started up. So there's an argument that only 1 of them failed. So the idea is that the chance of that failing is so unlikely. There are banks that the second we opened, multiple banks that called and said, hey, we want to give you a loan on another one.
Wow.
Exactly. We had the city of Willard call us saying they want us to put one in. Willard doesn't have a high enough population. You need about 20,000 people to make one work. And off the highway, you're golden. But that's a whole nother thing. But at the end of the day, banks will loan. Like, it's hard to start. Like, if I just started Kyle's Burgers, good freaking luck getting a loan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you started, like, Morgan's makeup shop, like you're not gonna get a loan, right? You need to show 2 years of financials,
right.
All that stuff.
And so all of these loans are just based off you and your financial stuff, right?
Partners too. So there's FP, financial partner. There's an operator, OO, owner operators. There's different titles, but you have to put a group together that can do it. Me
Gotcha.
alone wouldn't have been able to do it. Could have showed them financials for days, all that stuff, wouldn't have been able to do it.
So you got a team basically of.
Yeah, but you have to put it together.
So, but you personally have a team of different people who are kind of with you and helping you. Then
same as like ex-girlfriend's dad.
Yeah.
Allie's dad. He's putting $100,000 in. He'll be an FP, financial partner. So
That's
they'll
awesome.
look at his entire portfolio and he'll be attached to it. So if it fails, the bank will be able to go to him and say, we need some money.
So these people you've met, like these networking contacts, those people just you've met throughout your life, and then you've kind of just kept.
We're
in
actually
your pocket?
opening the first public fund. It's like $90,000 to do it because you have to pay lawyers. Lawyers, biggest ripoff. All right, lawyers. Okay, just to put that out there. And 90% of this building's lawyers because the only people that can afford the freaking rent here because they rip everybody.
We're at
off,
Hammond's
man.
Tower. If you guys didn't know, we're at Hammond's Tower.
But the point is that you gotta. And I've thought about it a couple times, but I thought it'd be really cool if we had workers that were part owner in the building.
That's kind of cool.
That'd be freaking sick, I thought. So we're putting this fund together. Everyone thinks it's a bad idea. Probably is, but I want to give it a shot. To where if you have as low as $1,000, you'll be able to invest.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, unaccredited. So unaccredited, here's the problem. It's a fact. Same with my business. Like I just closed a $5,000 deal about 2 hours ago. Buddy didn't even question it, sent the link, overpaid. I've tried to close $100 deals that take me 4 weeks to get $100. It's not worth it, right? typically low amounts of money. People ask more questions. That's just how it works. They want their money back quicker, which is why for shoes, if you don't have at least 10,000, I won't take your money at this point. It used to be as low as 500. But the people that put in lower amounts of money ask for their money back sooner, stuff like that. That's why most people think you're nuts. Because I'm in a few real estate groups, like different workshops I've attended, stuff like that, of people that own like apartments and whatnot. And they're all like, dude, you do not want to like open a restaurant with a bunch of people that have $1,000. But also my goal of owning a certain number of restaurants will be very hard to reach without, because I know a lot of people. So the chance of me being able to get quite a few people to give me like $1,000 per restaurant is pretty high. So I think I could open up quite a few restaurants like that, but it'd be a hassle.
Yeah.
Answering all those calls, like, but dude, if it helps me get there, it helps me get there. You know?
Right. So obviously Kyle is in his bag, like very successful, doing all kinds of things.
I'm not that successful. I'm not that. Honestly, I'm not that successful. It's a lot of show. Like a restaurant, I'm telling you, is not as.
But I mean, not even
not
just a
as
restaurant.
Hyped up as it sounds.
Like even everything you're doing here at Hammond, you know, like so.
That's the like that. It doesn't sound as fun, but that makes a lot more in a restaurant. But it doesn't sound fun. That's how you open stuff. Is a business like this, or like you talk about marketing. That's something you can do to actually high cash flow. But you know you're not paying off a loan more than likely. So there's benefits to that stuff. But like fast food real estate, that's more like of a long-term play. Like if you're trying to build wealth over 20 years, but it's a pretty guaranteed way to get there. You just have to wait. A business where you have to put in 17-hour days, that sucks. But if you do it right, and cash flow very high.
That's awesome. So, I mean, when it comes to future, you know, the ultimate dream, what would be your ultimate goal? You've been this entrepreneur since you've been 12. I mean, everybody, But really, I mean, is that... I mean, what would be... Like, tell me, like, you would retire at, what, 38? Like, what, you know, tell me...
I've thought about kind of throwing in the towel now almost, but I just focus on fast food. After some days, I'm like, dude, I don't know how long I can keep doing this for. Yeah. But, I don't know, Rockwell... I don't know. I've thought about selling it, half of it to Cardone Ventures. I've thought about selling half of it too. I'm actually going to their Finance Essentials workshop in a few days. I don't know. It depends.
Because for some people, they're like, I don't want to retire till I have this number. You know what I'm saying? Or until I achieve this business venture, this accomplishment. Like, I didn't know if there's something like... You know, you're this guy. You're like, I got something to prove. Like,
not anymore. Honestly, not anymore. You should see how I walk around, dude. I walk around in, like, 3-year-old T-shirts, like, whatever. It's stuff doesn't do much for me anymore. But, there's a number, but I don't know. Part of it's, like... I'm at this point where I realized I don't need as much as I originally thought I did. Yeah. And I've driven pretty much any car I want. All my buddies have the cool cars, and I don't know. I've thought about it. I've thought about getting some more cars or like cooler cars. I always thought a Bugatti would be cool, but like, dude, spending $3 million on a car, like that's just stupid. So I don't really need any of that anymore. I'm planning on probably within the next year. I'm probably gonna live in Florida for part of the year, just because I'm down there so much, anyways. In
like Miami,
the Miami. Well, Sunny Isles Beach. I'm in because that's where I go to a lot of Grant Cardone events, and I'm down there like every other month anyway. So I was thinking like I'll probably get like an apartment or something. Yeah. And just stuff like that, you know, costs quite a bit. So just have some money coming in for that. But I started Rockwell to have a good exit because most of my businesses were very high cash flow, but they didn't have a good multiple to sell. So like the industry I'm in now has a EBITDA multiple of like 16. So meaning if you're doing like, 10 million a year, the business is worth like 160 million. That's why I started this business, and I'm not paying myself too much of it. I'm just focused on, all right, this is gonna be nuts what I'm about to say, and it's gonna go over a lot of heads. However, this is gonna teach you more. I feel like
it's already going over my head. Like
this is gonna teach you more than 4 years in college will. Okay, and it spent me. I probably spent a couple $100,000 to learn this. No joke.
All right.
Over years of
Pen and
stuff.
paper.
There's two numbers you need in business. CAC and LTV. Only two numbers you need. Cost of acquisition per customer and lifetime value of a customer. I spent too much money on garbage and crap. And once I heard that from Brandon Dawson, Brandon Dawson sold over 200 companies. His last one was like 150 million he sold. Like, you can Google him. He's on Forbes, all that fun stuff. CAC, cost of acquisition per customer. How much does it cost for you to acquire a customer? LTV is lifetime value of a customer. So the stat that blew my mind was the lifetime value of a Starbucks customer. It's like 15 grand. So the average person that walks through Starbucks doors will spend around $15,000 over their life. Why? Because even if you don't go to Starbucks every day, there are people that go there every day and get 4 drinks for their family. And they've been doing that the past 5 years.
Wow.
So some people go once and they never come back again. Averaging out, I spend probably $1,500 a year at Starbucks. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
But when I started thinking, like, dude, I'm here like all the time and I'm buying at least 1 drink. Sometimes if there's like 2 people in the office, I'm buying 3 drinks. So, and I see people walk through these doors with 2 cartridges, like 8 drinks.
Yeah.
So, the idea is it worth it for Starbucks to spend $500 to acquire 1 customer? Yeah, because they're getting 15 grand back. So the idea is that if you can acquire a customer for free, you're doing great. So my front end package is $4,995 at Rockwell Financial, right? We put you on 400 networks, Fox, CNBC, Digital Journal, Market Watch, and about 417 others, give or take, depending on if anyone rejects you. That's $4,995. So is it worth it for me to spend, to where I'm spending about $5,000 all in just to get that 1 sale? Most people would say no, because you're not making any money. However, there's the back end. That's top of funnel. That's how we bring people in. We have a republishing fee of $395 per month. We've got retainers starting as low as $997 a month. So here's the idea. If the average customer sticks around on our retainer for 6 months, that's $6,000. So is it worth it for me to spend $5,000 for them to come into my ecosystem? Yeah, because I'm going to make $6,000 on the back end.
Yeah.
So that's what the biggest companies in the world have kind of figured out, is that if you can acquire a customer, there's this famous Dan Kennedy quote: the person who spends the most to acquire a customer wins. One of the greatest marketers ever. And so that's sort of the basic idea. I know a lot of you probably don't want to hear that, but if there's 2 people listening that wanted to hear that, that'll change your business. That'll change your business. No joke.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So that's what this business is about. We are trying to spend as much money as possible to get as many people in the door, and then just focus on making money on the back end. So that at the end of the day, our EBITDA is so high that we can get industry averages about 15.8, about 16. So whatever that EBITDA is, sell it for 16 times that. So wow. I started the business with the intent to sell, which goes into that other question of what's the end goal. Get the heck out.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this the rest of my life.
And then retire somewhere beautiful or something.
I'll always do something, but not like this. And not 17-hour days. It's awful. But, I mean, for that beginning package, we've been collecting cash for about 2.5 months. So that's a newer one. We also have RockwellMarketingSolutions.com. Scaled that business up decently. Launched Rockwell News Network, which is our own network, like CNBC or Fox or something like that, where we publish. That's really good. That's just, we give, if a business is doing certain revenue numbers, we'll publish them for free. Top of the funnel. This is a big hack right here, business hack. So you just cold call them. It's impossible to get business owners on the phone. This took us years to learn, by the way. So we'd call them and we'd be like, hey, we're doing a spotlight on gym owners. Let's say they're a gym.
Yeah.
And we want to publish you for free on our network. They're not going to say no to that. So we get the business owner on the phone. We get their personal information. All of a sudden we're in. Because it's impossible. Any sales training will show you about the gatekeeper. It's impossible to get past the receptionist because every boss trains the receptionist to dodge salesmen.
Right.
But if you're saying, hey, we wanted to publish you for free, guess what? They're sending you right through.
Right.
So only costs us like $50. I toss a writer $50, costs us $50. Well, we repitched, we keep calling, right? And then they end up buying a package. So that was like the ultimate way to get in. And if you guys can figure out like a good top of the funnel thing for your business, if you have one.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's an easy way to get to at least 7 figures a year.
Yeah.
If you can figure that out. With probably a sales team of 5, you can hit at least $1 million a year, 1 to 3 million easily. If you have a decently priced, even $1,000.
Yeah.
Because that'd be 1,000 people to sell to. Yeah, you could do that in a year easily.
Yeah.
That's guaranteed way if you have a $1,000 product to do $1 million in your first year. Guaranteed.
Dang. So to transition a little bit, so obviously you have all these ventures, 17-hour guy, like you're a busy dude.
Once in a while.
So like relationship wise, like are you seeing anyone, or is this like, I mean, how does that even work with your schedule?
It doesn't. It's impossible.
Yeah.
It's not gonna. You can't unless you've got some. Unless she works for you.
Right.
Unless she's in the office too, but then you're not gonna get anything done.
Right.
So it's like it's just not gonna work. Once in a while, like I'll hang out with friends and stuff. You know? But like sometimes on like a Saturday or something. Because here's the thing with the business though: if you're selling B2B, you're selling to business owners. Saturday's the best day to call them because they're not as flooded with work. So like Saturdays are kind of the on day. Saturday's the best day to close deals of the week. So you can't do Monday through Friday. You can't do Saturday. Maybe you can do Sunday, but like Sunday, I'm still in here probably 5 to 8 hours.
Wow.
So it's okay, but like, I just think long term.
Yeah.
I don't want to be working till I'm 40. That's a not fun life in my opinion. One life to live. I don't want to spend it working till 40. So.
Are you the kind of guy like at some point in life you do want to be married and have kids and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'll think about that a little later on. 21, I'm not as focused. I know it's not a very popular opinion for the school we went to, but I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it in the slightest.
It's like we got out,
it's just for me.
Single with no kids.
It's just
that's
for me.
That's a dub to me, so.
It's just for me. Like, that's just, well, here's the thing, though. Most people, though, because this is how I view it. Like, I could put in about 5 miserable years, which aren't even miserable because I love what I do.
Yeah.
I talk to people all day. I love talking anyways.
Right.
So if I put in 5 miserable years, but I can have a little bit of money at the end of it and I don't have to worry about money, I can maybe relax and do something for 20 hours a week. Restaurant industry.
Yeah.
Just manage a portfolio of restaurants or something. That's easy. Like, I know dudes who own, the dude who owns 160 Taco Bells, he flies around on his plane all day. He didn't do anything. Like, he's working, but like, the people working in the restaurant are working harder than him, truthfully. But he's making all this money. So that, and honestly, he told me he owned 100 restaurants and he was paying himself like 150 grand a year.
Man.
Which is like not anything for owning 100 restaurants, but it was because he did cash out refi, which is refinancing through the bank. So once you get enough equity, you just pull it out and you open a new restaurant, because he came from like nothing. So he didn't have like someone, because I'm trying to get him to open some restaurants. But he's selling his Pizza Huts and stuff because he owned a lot of Pizza Huts, but Pizza Hut kind of dumb these days. But so he's with Yum Foods, so he owns all the Yum Food stuff. But
so what are your thoughts on NFTs and crypto and stuff like that? You know, are you the kind of person who's gonna wait it out and just wait till it dies, or are you invested?
I have a tweet. You can see it. We're friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
I have a tweet I said from like 2012 about Bitcoin. I was like, I just bought Bitcoin. I just bought my like 10th Bitcoin for like $110 or something. Like, it's crazy. It's going to 1,000.
Yeah.
But I sold way before then. I thought I was like hot stuff. I had like $1,000 worth of Bitcoin and I sold it for like 3, and I was like, oh, I'm like Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
But no, I've been out of Bitcoin for a while. I'm pro like blockchain. I'm pro blockchain. It's
taking you a minute to like.
Well, I don't want to say too much. I'm very pro blockchain, but Bitcoin has a very dark side to it.
Sorry, it's like you're speaking in hieroglyphics. So.
Bitcoin has a very dark side to it also, and long term, I think it's too late for the government to ban it, for sure. Might eat my words on that, but I don't think they will. But there's rumors of like who created it and stuff like that. And if some of those rumors pan out to be true, it's going to zero. So that's why long term, I don't have anything in it. But I don't think people are crazy for having money in it. I think it could go to $1 million. I totally do. I also wouldn't be shocked if it went to 0, but I'm not buying them up.
Yeah.
But I'm very pro like blockchain, like not dealing with the banks. Dude, the banks run the freaking country. They got so much money. Like, just let the people make the money. I'm all for that. Paying, like, there are poor people that have to pay $40 overdraft fees. Like, that's just, you know what I mean? They can't advance in society. So I love the blockchain. It's just I don't know if Bitcoin will be the long-term one. Like Ethereum, if I was going to put money in something, I'd put money in Ethereum.
Are you invested in a lot of stocks right now as well?
Used to be. Sold most of that stuff just because.
Just kind of focused on your business and the Culver's and everything? Yeah, I put a lot of money in training.
I didn't think I'd learn that much from college, but I had a certain dollar amount that I had after I kind of liquidated my clothes and stuff when I went off to college. And I spent a semester in college, and I was like, I'm not going to learn what I need to learn. So I bought a lot of courses with that money, and it got me hooked. Because a lot of courses, I feel like what people don't quite understand is that there's a lot of people that are much further ahead than us that know what we don't know. And for like literally there are courses for $1,000 that have shaved 20 years of learning off of my life. Like $1,000 courses. Straight Line Persuasion, best sales course I've been through. Certification 4.0, Jordan Belfort. He's the Wolf of Wall Street guy.
Oh, I know who Jordan Belfort is.
And it's like $6,000. It's expensive. Might be $5,000. It was $8,000. It might be $8,000. I don't know. It's a lot of money.
His training program?
Yeah, but I'm going to explain something to you. You will not learn more from sales anywhere else.
Than Jordan Belfort?
Experience could teach you quite a bit, but he's like an insane salesman. Like, just what he's done. I mean, buddy had like 2,000 people working for him at Stratton.
Right.
And he made all those people like millionaires. Now, there's certain ways he did it that wasn't right.
It's kind of funny,
but the thing is that it's I don't look at what he did. I looked at how he did it. So like you could do the same thing and sell people like anti-cancer pills. You could be selling the cure to cancer. It doesn't matter. The fact is he could turn no's into yeses, and that's the important thing because that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the cool thing is because what I actually have helps businesses more than you would think. Being able to advertise as seen on Fox, CNBC, Forbes, whoever. I mean, that drives conversion rates through the roof. Calls booked, email opt-ins, product purchases. We've got a dude who sells butter. Love butter. LUV butter. Yeah. Love butter. Go buy some. His pitch is great. I met him at a business conference. He's like, it's better than Texas Roadhouse. It's crazy, but it is killer stuff. It's like $10 a jar. It's a steal. Love butter. And we're doing a story for him right now. And just how much more product can you sell if someone clicks on your site? Because you're paying for ads.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Someone's spending $30,000 a month on ads. I'm sure he's not, but like certain people are spending $30,000 a month on ads. If you can increase your conversion rate 10%, we just saved you $3,000. 10% less people are going to leave your site. That means we just made you an extra $3,000 a month. All we charge is $5,000. So it's going to make you a lot more money long term. Now we've also got lower packages, but we don't run ads to those. That's more that lifetime value back end I was talking about.
Yeah. So what would you say, I mean, all these training programs, all these things, like what was the best thing you ever, maybe it is a training program, like what was the best thing you ever learned or seminar you went to or thing that just changed the way you thought?
A few things. I'm telling you, cost of acquisition per customer compared to lifetime value of a customer will make you a billionaire if you implement it. Jeff Bezos did it. Early days of Amazon made no money. What Bezos was worried about was acquiring customers because they kept coming back. So he said, if I can get 1 million people to start using my business, 1 million customers, never spend money on ads again, they'll keep coming back, they'll tell their friends, we'll keep growing. Do you ever see what his desk looked like? It was sitting on cinder blocks and it was like a door. He lived on nothing. He drove like some 10-year-old Honda Civic. And like that's how he grew his business. And if you look at like a lot of the biggest companies in the world, that's what they do. This is dude Alex Hormozi. He's got a YouTube channel now. He just sold his company for like 120 million, something like that. A company called Gym Launch. It was a $30,000 product he sold to gyms. And same thing. Spend as much money to acquire that customer, but make a ton off that customer.
Yeah.
And it can be back end. So that's the biggest gold nugget in business.
So on the flip side then, what would you say for you personally has been your biggest challenge, business-wise, or just the biggest obstacle you faced thus far?
Being taken seriously, which is why I got on the news.
I'm sorry, mic drop.
Why I got on the news. When you can send a prospect, I just don't know if I want to do business. Send them an article of you on CNBC. All of a sudden, you're respected, right? We say we'll make you an industry leader, an authority figure, the top of your field. Literally, your prospects will be certain that they should be doing business with you instead of anybody else. Because think about it. At the end of the day, if they're getting prices, car dealerships are notorious for this. People will go to 5 different car dealerships to get a quote or whatever. The second someone walks out of your dealership, they say there's an 80 to 90% chance they'll never come back. They've test driven the car. They've seen the numbers. They know if they want the car or not. They're looking around to see if they can get one cheaper somewhere else.
Yeah.
But if you can show someone that your dealership has been on whatever, Forbes, and it says top 5 reasons why you should buy from this dealership instead of someone else, you think that's going to prevent people from walking out the door? Probably. So at the end of the day, I wasn't taken seriously for years. And in the webinar, rockwellprwebinar.com, it shows how being on the news, little stations. I was on little Detroit stations, paid $2,000 to be on some no-name station. But it changed my business because I was running ads, right? Back when ads were cheap and you could launch a campaign and just get money for nothing, right? People would click on my site and then click off. Well, my conversion rate doubled overnight once I put As Seen On and then 3 no-name news networks. If you weren't from Michigan, you didn't know those. So the idea is it's a little less powerful today because there's a lot of businesses with As Seen On, or a lot more. However, it can still do insane things to your conversion rate. People take you seriously. That's why we really niche down when running ads to our high ticket program. It says right on the landing page, only for coaches, consultants, and agency owners doing between $10,000 and $50,000 a month. The $10,000 and $50,000 is because we want to make sure you can afford it because we're running ads. But also this dude Kai Bax. This is a good lesson. I know it's a little off topic, but this is a good lesson. This guy Kai Bax, I bought his program for $6,800. Really good deal. He's 20 years old. He's from Australia. His company does $350,000 a month. Nuts. And he builds landing pages, email sequences, all that stuff. So that's what I bought. The reason why, this is where I'm going. If you see something working for someone else, model it. Don't completely copy it. But when we were on the Zoom call, I bought after the first call. Didn't have to do follow-up or anything. And the reason why was because he said, dude, we sell to the same people. He's like, you can literally, my exact everything, exact templates, we'll just swap out my agency name for Rockwell. We'll put Rockwell Financial in there. We'll literally change nothing. Well, guess what? He's doing $350,000 a month. If I can just throw the marketing funds at it, it'll be replicated. So the idea is find someone who's at the top of your industry and model them. You don't have to completely copy them. But if you're selling makeup, look at one of these Kylie Jenner people or something like that.
Yeah.
Do the exact same thing because it's working. They're doing billions of dollars. Same as this Josh Snow. He owns a company called Snow Teeth Whitening. He's in Target. I've been following him for a long time, but now he's in Best Buy, Target, all these places. He does that. He was the guy who started. Have you ever seen a Snapchat story that says from one of those influencers that says something like, "Oh, where'd you get your teeth? How'd you get your teeth so white?"
Oh yeah.
He started that in 2015 because he walked through the store and he said, "What looks really old that could use? That's a good product but needs to be rebranded." He walked through the toothpaste aisle and he was like, "Oh, this entire aisle needs redone."
Man.
So, and now he's got a company that does $150 million a year, and they built it off of paying influencers because he can't pay. We're paying $100 to $200 depending on the campaign to get a call booked on our calendar, but we're selling a high service, high offer, right? High ticket they call it. he can't pay $150 to get someone to pay $50. So he paid these influencers. But it's the same idea of if you wanted to go into teeth whitening, you could literally do the exact same thing as him. Just pay influencers, figure out exactly what he did. There's interviews on YouTube of him saying exactly what he did. Do the same thing.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of got started. That's how I scaled clothing, Clouser.
Dang.
It was just looking at Supreme.
Yeah, there you go.
Same thing.
So as we're kind of coming to a close, one of my last questions before what I usually always do is, real quick, what advice would you just give to someone who maybe wants to start their own company or something?
Don't listen to broke people, unless you want to be broke. No, really.
There you go.
It's stupid. If you... I mean, people will listen to everybody except for rich people for some reason. They'll listen to their uncle that's a mechanic. It's like, dude, he fixes cars all day. What does he know about selling makeup kits? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does he know about selling t-shirts? He doesn't know anything. He's never done it. People listen to their parents. Look, my parents are good people, but they don't know anything about business. So I listened to, like, even my dad didn't think. And I didn't even take it personally. He was just like, oh, almost all businesses fail and stuff. Why do you think you'll be different? Stuff like that. You don't listen to people that don't have what you want.
Yeah.
So like if you want to be a billionaire, don't listen to someone who has $1 million. And the reason why is because they got stuck at $1 million. It's going from 1 million to 5 million is very different than just being at 1 million. And there's certain things I've realized as I've hit certain points is that scaling up, you know, what it takes to get to 100,000, what it takes to 1 million, what it takes to get to above, very different things holding you back. Because at some point, this costs $40,000 if you go to Cardone Ventures 360. Anyways, a 10x 360 it's called. There's different break points in businesses. And once a business gets to a certain size, it weighs itself down. So someone doesn't know that who's only built a business to $500,000 a year, right? Someone who's built a business to 5 million or 10 million, they understand that. Because there's employees that start to weigh it down. And then you have to do trimmings and whatnot, but that's a whole different thing.
Interesting.
That's for another day.
That's for a different. Yeah.
But sales and marketing can get you to $3 million a year.
Wow. Well, you know what I like to do to end every show is fave quote, fave song, and what would you like your legacy to be? So
this is gonna sound stupid.
Kyle.
For quote. This is gonna sound stupid.
Okay,
for quote.
well, mine was Joe Dirt. So like,
Joe Dirt.
Yeah. So.
Honest truth, this isn't a business quote, but Nike says just do it. Honest truth, I would say that because at the end of the day, look. You can sit here and say a business that's 10 years old only has, you know, depending on the statistic you read, a 10% to a 5% chance of succeeding. But a business that never starts has a 0% chance.
That's right.
So that off the bat, just do it pretty much. If you just freaking try, at least you can say you tried and failed.
Exactly, 100%.
So that's probably my favorite thing because I've had some failures too. We've talked today about certain things that have gone over okay, but there have been some things too that like K&A failed twice before Clouser succeeded.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was just I had a partner I was listening to that I shouldn't. Again,
right.
I wasn't taking my own advice. Wasn't listening to someone who did what I wanted him to do, but he did nothing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, he knows how to build this up. No, he didn't. The second I started doing what Supreme was doing, the business 10x'd in like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then song or something.
Favorite like song, artists, or I guess
I
favorite
like
song of all
music.
time. Yeah.
I like rock music. Okay. I was at GrowthCon a few months ago, and Tillman Fertitta, he owns the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
He owns Landry's. He owns like 600 restaurants. Landry's owns like a Rainforest Cafe, all crazy restaurants. Anyways, his entrance song was "Welcome to the Jungle," and I was like, dude, I remember listening to that when I was like, I don't know, 10 or something.
Yeah.
So I rediscovered my love for that song. I don't really know. I love rock though.
Yeah.
I mean, I can listen to most genres except for like back porch country music, like Truck Broke Down, like all that stuff. I can't listen to that, but anything else I can listen to.
All right.
But I love rock.
And then last but not least, what do you want your legacy to be?
That's a hard one.
Just got like really quiet.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking of something, but I was like, that's kind of dark to say. Because I heard someone say something not that long ago that said legacy's overrated. And I'll tell you why. This is good. Well, it's not very depressing. And
I don't want to be depressed. I don't want to be depressed.
Okay. Well, the point, to sum it up, it was like, dude, no one's gonna remember you in like 3 generations.
Yeah, but
like,
I mean, hello.
My great grandpa apparently.
What do you think history class is, bro? Like,
true. My great grandpa.
I'm learning about all these people that are old. Like,
my great grandpa did some okay kind of cool things, I guess. I mean, he wasn't like some Jeff Bezos dude. He wasn't like crazy rich or anything, but like he did a couple cool things. Like, dude, I don't remember his name.
Yeah.
I think it was Rothard.
Yeah, but I mean, also, you look at, we live in Springfield right now, and I mean, there's freaking Bass Pro. You're telling me Johnny Morris isn't gonna have a legacy, or like Paul Mueller,
no, they'll have something for sure. Here's the thing, though. I guess I don't care that much.
You don't need one. Yeah,
I don't care that much. I'm a freedom guy. Like exactly, I've got rough numbers of what I'd like to hit in my head financially, but I'm not that weighed down attached to numbers, because to me, like, rich is not like a dollar amount. Rich is like, can I do what I want to do?
Yeah.
Like, right now, I may have a couple bucks, but I don't consider myself rich, because I can't drop everything and go skiing if someone tells me right now, or you go do whatever.
Yeah.
I'm kind of tied down. So I don't like that. That's like rich to me. So that's it. I don't know. Like legacy, I don't even know. Like after I'm dead, I don't know. I just care about like being as free as possible now, which is why I want to retire in the next probably 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Just so I can do whatever.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Kyle, for coming on the show, and thank you, everyone.
And coming to me. Thanks for coming to me.
Of course.
That was what's your name again?
What?
No, Morgan. But I'm saying, like, what's your nickname? What do they call you?
Oh, Cash Money Morgan.
That was Cash Money of you.
I just about like.
I knew it was Cash something, but then I was like,
no, it's totally fine.
What's your name again?
I know. Sometimes Alyssa? That's my line. Sometimes you didn't call me Megan, so that's fine. But I'm just like dead. That's funny. But thank you so much for coming on here and spewing all this, business wisdom and really helping people just kind of figure out stuff. To my listeners, I love you guys per usual. Like I said, I do have my first item of merch coming out, so just kind of be on the lookout. And also, I've had a lot of people approach me about wanting to start their own podcast. So if you do want to start your own podcast, literally just go at the bottom of this episode. I have an affiliate link. If you sign up with Buzzsprout, it's BUZZSPROUT, Buzzsprout.com. You just have to sign up for the paid partnership or subscription, and then you get a $20 Amazon gift card. And I listen to podcasts. I will listen to yours. So sign up today so you can be a part of this great community.
There you go.
All right, there you go. All right, Cash Money out. Kyle out. You know the vibes. Peace.